Fire versus ice. There once was a goddess named Xena who controlled fire and heat, and she lived in the basin of the Pacific Ocean. Xena's arch nemesis was Icezilla, and she lived in Antarctica. Xena and Icezilla were once good friends
who would always meet at a place where it wasn't too hot or too cold to ensure that they would both be comfortable in that space.
Cytropolis had a head made of steel with one eye in the front of his head and one eye in the back of his head. Cytropolis also had a body like a spider and the mane of a lion.
Well, one day when Xena and Icezilla were meeting in the forest, they had to fight Cytropolis off because for some reason he was acting very territorial towards the forest and the visitors whenever they would come to visit. Xena and Icezilla didn't have anything to worry about because they knew with their ice and fire powers together, they were unstoppable. Just before they were about to battle, Ares popped up and was encouraging all three of them to battle and also to win.
Of course, Xena and Icezilla won the battle against Cytropolis because they both had the best power after all. After the battle against Cytropolis, both Xena and Izella's friendship were going smooth and nicely until Icezilla said to Xena, "You know, I really did most of the work in the battle against Cytropolis because I was constantly freezing him." And then Xena said, "Oh, really? Then do you want to put your powers where your mouth is?" And Icezilla replied, "Sure, why not? I'm best anyway. Let's battle, and I'm not scared of anyone."
So the battle began against Xena and Icezilla. But before they battled, they came to an agreement that they wouldn't get physical with each other until 10 years from that day, but they would still remain enemies until that day came. Both Xena and Icezilla came to an agreement of where the battle would be, and the both of them said it would be held in the basin of the Pacific Ocean. 10 years had passed, and on the same day, at the same time, in the basin of the Pacific Ocean, both Xena and Icezilla met up to battle. But before the physical battle started, they both tried to amend their friendship, but it didn't work, and the battle began with the two to see whose powers were the most powerful.
As Xena and Icezilla began the battle, they began to move closer on top of a volcano. And when the fire and ice was flying all over the place, the heat and coldness was mixing together, and it created some kind of chemical that made the lava combust. And the volcano erupted before their eyes. After the volcano erupted, both Xena and Icezilla were speechless. And from that last day on, they really never knew what power was more powerful after all.